Hello everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another limited edition exclusive Stamptember video. This time it is Lawn Fawn. This is Christmas in the Desert, and this year I'm really excited that Lawn Fawn and Simon Says Stamp are offering us a stamp stencil die combo, or a stamp die combo, or just the stamp set. I am going to start with the wonderful Desert Canyon backdrop. This was released a couple of releases ago from Lawn Fawn, and it's perfectly going to go with the wonderful Christmas in the Desert scene we're going to create. I have die cut a panel from some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, and I'm going to ink up my background first with a little peacock feathers and blueprint sketch. Now, what we're going to do that's going to make this card a little bit special today is we're going to create an acetate card so that there's these beautiful layers. This is actually the inside of the card, and so I'm not going to bring the color all the way down. Not only do I not need to, because that little craft part won't show through the acetate of the front panel, but because it's going to allow us a great spot to write a message to the recipient. On the front of the Desert Canyon, I am going to mask off a little bit with some Post-it tape, and actually a lot of it, not just a little bit. We're going to mask it off a lot of it. We're going to mask off the hills or the sand out there in the desert and the frame to try to maintain the integrity of that craft color. And then we're going to ink it up. Now, you might notice that I chose to do some non-traditional colors. I am imagining a nighttime in the desert scene for this card today, meaning you're going to see these beautiful shades of blues and purples as you see those mountains off in the distance. And so that's really what inspired the color choices for my scene and for these mountains. I am using some wilted violet and blueprint sketch for that. And then we are going to do some gathered twigs for the actual sand where we will be building our scene. Oh, that's looking good already. I love it. Next, we're adding that gathered twigs as I mentioned, and I'm just going to color everything here in the foreground, even like the little bush that could be green, but honestly not a lot of it's going to show. So I really just went with that gathered twigs. It's going to help make our frame not quite so flat looking with the addition of this little bit of color. Super easy, super quick. That's really the name of the game here. And then we can get to the fun stenciling of our images. Now, I actually haven't had a chance to play with the layering stencils for the Lawn Fawn images. This was my first time, and I want to say it's super easy. So if you are someone who doesn't love coloring, I think this is a fantastic option. I also love that definitely you can always color if that's what you prefer. I'm taking a little bit of the Spellbinders Splatter White. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it to help it move a little bit better. And we're going to add like some stars in the sky to our background panel. I want that to be drying while we do our stamping and stenciling. Plus, this just adds to that wintry feel, I suppose, of this. It's not going to be snowing in the desert, but I want it to look like the stars are out and the fun little desert critters are enjoying their Christmas scene. So I am stamping the images from the Christmas in the Desert again on the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. Now, this isn't something new that I do. I really love coloring on some Desert Storm cardstock, and I will have videos where I am doing the alcohol ink coloring on Desert Storm. But for today, we're actually going to stencil on top of Desert Storm, and you get amazing results. So I really love that. Now, these stencils could not be any easier, you guys. I mean, literally could not be any easier. I I shouldn't say skeptical, but I wasn't sure how I would feel about it. I would highly recommend some sort of a small blending tool for these small areas. I am using the Simon Says Stamp blending tools, but lots of other companies are going to have some too. You might have something in your stash. I do think the results are a little bit better with a small blending tool. And I am trying to avoid some of those lights just because I know that I'm going to need to stencil those here in a minute, and it'll be easier if they're not super green. I will list all of the ink colors I am using from Simon Says Stamp down in the description. So far we have Artichoke and Mocha. And now we're going to work on the red, and this punch color is going to be perfect for our red today. I want it to be a nice bright red. Now, while I have my red blending brush out, I thought, let's go ahead and do any of the Santa hats that I can find or anything else that I think might be the red color. Now, one thing I want to mention about our white, because I have stamped on craft cardstock, you might be thinking, oh no, what do we do for anything that might be white? Well, I love to use a white colored pencil to color that white color on, which you will see here in a little bit, and I think the results are fantastic. So that is what we're going to do for that today, and it does work out really, really well. I do prefer that over a white pigment ink, but you could try a white pigment ink if that's something that you like. I did try to keep to a fairly simple color palette here. You'll notice I am using a lot of the same colors and really, as I mentioned, trying to do anything that I think is going to be reds or greens or browns. Try to do any of that, and then I will grab another blending brush and another color. This was just to simplify it on my end. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments, what do you think of the blending brushes? Do you love them? Have you used blending brushes, you guys? Stencils. Let me know what you think of the Lawn Fawn stencils. I would love to know in the chat or in the comments, so drop me a note and let me know. This turtle is my favorite. I love that his shell is wrapped with a bow. That and the cactus wrapped in lights. Both of those kind of compete for my favorite here. I just think they're super, super fun. And we're going to go back to a little bit of red. I kind of forgot what I was doing when I was doing all the other red. I'm actually kind of going stencil by stencil and trying to do everything in one stencil at a time. And here's that white pencil. We're just going to color in. Look at that instant white. I love it. And it's also fantastic for adding some highlights. So if you want to do kind of a soft highlight on different areas of your colored images that isn't a white pen, oh, I love this white pencil. I think that it gives amazing results. Let's do our little Roadrunner here. We've got some Allspice. I think I'm going to use Allspice and Nutmeg if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe paprika. Nope, Nutmeg. I was correct. I really love these. These are two of the new cube colors for STAMPtember, and I'm glad those are out. You'll notice I'm using a combination of ink pads and cubes. I probably should have got all of my little cubes out. They are so handy. I do love them. And again, a small blending brush of some kind is really going to be your best friend here. Now, I like the multicolor lights for this. It's a great opportunity to introduce a lot of color to the design. We got a lot of neutrals, a lot of reds, a lot of greens. It's a Christmas card. But I love the little addition of some blue, yellow, purple lights. I think it adds to the overall magical feeling of this card, and it's going to provide a pop of color. Now, I did die cut from that Desert Canyon cover plate backdrop. I did die cut some additional cactus that I'm going to use for the background. You'll also notice that off camera, I did die cut all of those images for my scene. I am inking up my additional cacti with some Artichoke and Kale inks, and I'm just doing this on a scrap piece of Nina Desert Storm. And then on the rest of the scrap, I decided that after talking it to my friend Shari, that the rest of my cactus did need some Santa hats. So shout out to Shari for that, because we were talking about my card and I was like, here's my card, I finished it. And I was like, it's missing something, and we decided Santa hats. It was a group effort. Okay, here is my scene card background. I have my A2 acetate card. I have my panel just sitting on the inside. Nothing is attached yet. And I do want to take my frame and just lay it here, because I need to see how far does the cactus stick up, our cactus Christmas tree stick up in the center, and all of that. I am going to use Greetings from the stamp set to stamp right on the acetate. I love cotton white stays on ink on acetate, whether you're making a shaker or whatever it is, and you desert a sensational Christmas. Oh my goodness, you guys. So that is the greeting. As always, you can totally customize the greetings from the Lawn Fawn sets to say what you want to say. There's lots of options. So you desert a sensational Christmas. This would be a fantastic card for like my parents who live in the desert. They live in Arizona, and I think that this would be something that they would think was kind of funny. So I am taking some double-sided tape from Lawn Fawn now on that back panel, and I am going to adhere it to the inside back of my acetate card. This is where the adhering of the different elements is super important. Now we're going to take the Desert Canyon frame, and this is going to go on the front of the card. So the background panel went on the inside. That is seen through the front cover of the acetate. And I like this double stick tape, especially with acetate, as you're not going to have any mess. And that's definitely what we're looking for with this step. I'm going to peel off all of my backing, and then again, this is going to go on the front before we build the scene. Now, there were a couple things I forgot. Even knowing how to put together one of these, you do have to think about it a little bit. I am going to pop this in my MISTI just to help line it up. If you stick it in the corner, the card in the corner and the panel you're trying to line up in the corner, it does work pretty well, and it's not going to be all wonky. And look at that. There is our desert scene ready to build. Now, the problem, if you want to call it that, is that you can see through anything that we put on the front of the card to the inside. So we are going to want to hide that. And I came up with a really fun way. Here in a little bit, I will show that. Not only that, on the back of the card where we adhered that background panel, that also will have acetate adhesive, and we're going to need to hide that as well. I'm popping up my elements with foam on the front of my card though. We're going to go ahead and do all of that, build our sweet little scene. I will say I accidentally put foam underneath the top of the cactus. That does show through to the inside of the card. I very carefully peeled that off. I mention that because instead of cutting it out of the video, I thought it would be better to explain how I fixed what I did rather than just, not say anything at all, because you saw me put the foam on it. So we're going to layer and adhere all of these elements. I love that there's hills here, just like there are in all of these wonderful backdrops that you get from Lawn Fawn, where you can really tuck things in. So you'll notice the little planter with the cactus I tucked in to one of the hills. I'm tucking all of the rest of the cactus in the background into the hills. Oh, I love that little Santa hat on the cactus. I think it's hilarious. And I really like the addition of the additional cactus in the background. To me, this gives a little bit more of a complete scene. And we're just gluing these down. I did get a little messy with my glue. It will dry clear, thank goodness. We're going to kind of layer those right there. It's looking cute. So we want to attach our little Roadrunner. He's going to add some more lights to the tree apparently. And then there's a couple of other little images. We've got the little present sitting in the sand. We're going to tuck that right there, kind of next to our cactus Christmas tree. Some foam on the back of our little road runner as well. Had to piece that together. He's a little bit, has a few tinier areas, I guess I want to say. And then we have the candy cane sticking in the sand. After this, it is mostly finishing details. That's going to include adding some black glaze pen to the eyes for my critters, adding some additional detail to the sand, and of course, covering up that adhesive on the inside and the back of our card. So let's figure out where we're going to put our candy cane first. That gave me some issues, couldn't figure it out. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and take some sparkle crystal lacquer, and I can see that I'm running low. This is the Hero Arts crystal lacquer, and I am going to add that sparkly material to the lights on my tree. Now, this is a very small detail, but in the finished card, this gives our wonderful Christmas lights some sparkle, which I thought was very, very fun. And we don't want to forget our Christmas lights over here. It's like a tube of toothpaste, you guys. I have it rolled down to get every little last drop. It's almost better that way for these little teeny tiny areas. I had a lot of control over how much I was applying. Okay, that is going to dry pretty fast. And while that's drying, we will go ahead and add some black jelly roll. I always like to add this to my critters' eyes. I think it really makes them pop. And I'm even going to add some additional white highlights with a white jelly roll pen. I know I added a few with the white colored pencil, but we're adding just a few additional ones here and there. Oh my goodness, look how cute it's looking. I am loving it. We're also going to take a Stardust glitter pen. I love the Stardust glitter pen. We're going to add like some little sparkles all over in the sand. I like this for beach sand or desert sand, or just when you need a subtle touch of sparkle. That kind of adds to that sandy look and feel. Okay. So now I've die cut another desert canyon background. My Christmas lights are all the way dry. And on the back of my card, I have another A2 Nina Desert Storm panel. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere that to the back. This is a great place to put a customized stamp like made by Nichol or, you know, whatever. There we go. That's cleaned that completely up. And then on the inside, we want to add our panel. Now you can add it to exactly cover, but here's what I thought would be fun. See that little, like how if you put it where it's front facing, it will give you a little bit of shadow back behind those mountains. And I thought to myself, I think that might be kind of fun. So I'm going to take some black soot distress oxide ink, just because I really want these to feel like they're really far in the background. And I actually started with a little blueprint sketch first, and then we'll take some black soot. And it is going to make those look like they're even further off in the distance during this nighttime scene. So I looked at the blueprint sketch and I was like, that's a little too close to the sky. I think black soot's going to be better. You guys know that I love black soot. I'm not super worried about where the ink is because this panel isn't really going to show. And look at that. Instant transformation. I loved it so much. So now we're going to put some adhesive on this frame and place that right inside the cover of our card. And I want to make sure it's nice and secure, so I do tend to put plenty of adhesive. Gotta peel all these off. And this is the 1/4 inch adhesive from Lawn Fawn I'm using. So now I'm placing this right inside. And look at that, you guys. So much fun. The final thing I did was add a few additional Santa hats, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those right, to the tops of the rest of my cactus. And I do love that this pulls a little bit of additional color and Christmas up a little higher into the design. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for the Lawn Fawn STAMPtember limited edition exclusive stamp set called Christmas in the Desert. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching! Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching!